Hey everyone, my name is Skylar. Welcome back to my channel at Unicorns and Typewriters. I'm here today to do my July 2020 wrap-up video. So I want to talk to you all about the books that I read in the month of July and let you know what I thought of them. Here we go. The first book that I read in the month of July was Huntress by Melinda Lo. I started out really strong with this book, really enjoying it. I had started it way back in like May and I never finished it. I had gotten kind of stuck in it. About 2/3 of the way in, I was just stuck. And I finally pushed through and finished in July. And I have to say that overall, I'm pretty disappointed with this book. I thought I was just stuck because of the place in my life I was in when I started trying to read it. It was just one of those kind of like bad timing sort of books. You know, I've said before, I'm a mood reader. It just like wasn't the right time to read it. However, once I got to like the last third of the book, I started having a lot more issues with the book itself. My problems with this book ended up making a lot of sense to me. There was actually a sort of note to the reader by the author at the end that talked about the fact that this book was originally supposed to have elements in it that were cut for the final copy that did not end up taking place in the book, and it had to do more with magic, more with magical creatures, more folklore, more elements that I think would have made this book even more amazing than it was and would have kind of tied into the potential that this book started out with. However, the author decided not to include those elements. They felt that it was making the book too long or whatever. I mean, honestly, this is a decent sized book, but I wouldn't have minded if this book was like twice as big. If it had had those more magical elements, if the ending hadn't been so rushed. There's a lot to it that, like, I don't know, I feel like it just could have been so much better if the author had committed to keeping those elements in the book. There was actually a bonus chapter at the very end of the book that was a story called The Fox, and that story included some of the elements, the magical folklore elements inspired by Chinese and Japanese folklore that would have been in this book had the author decided not to cut that aspect, and that part was absolutely amazing. I actually loved that ending story so much, and if they had included that type of magic and folklore, I think this book would have been 20 million times better. So it's one of those situations where I feel like the author's intentions were best and they ended up doing what they thought readers would like better. And honestly, I really think that her original intentions would have made this a much, much better novel. So I'm disappointed. It also inspires me in my own writing though to do what I feel is best and not listen to what some professors and other people in the past have told me is actually like not what readers want. Because how do you know what readers want? I don't know. If the writer themselves thinks that something is interesting, it probably means that it's interesting. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's almost like a little lesson, and it's interesting to me to think and relate about to my own writing. So yeah, overall, really cool concept. Really wanted to like this one. Disappointed in the end though. If you guys hear a little bit of background noise or jingling, it's because my dog insisted in being in the room with me while I'm filming, but she doesn't want to sit still. Yay. So the next book that I read in the month of July was actually an audiobook. I finished the To All the Boys I Have Loved Before series that I've been reading recently. I read the final book, which is Always and Forever, Largine, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was probably my favorite book in the entire series. I have to say overall as a series, it's so hard for me because I love Laura Jean's character. I love the humor. I find her so relatable. Her family is so endearing. Everything about her and her world, I'm just fully in love with. I love the themes about sisterhood and friendship and relationships. The only thing that I didn't love about the novels is that I actually don't like Peter's character very much. I feel like Laura Jean deserves better. I actually was rooting for one of the other love interests. I don't really want to do spoilers here, but if you've seen the movies or read the book, you probably know exactly what other love interest I'm talking about. And he has so much of a bigger role in the second book of the series than he does in the second movie. And I think if you read the second book, you will agree with me that he would have been better for her I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings about that. But overall, I still love them overall because I totally relate to Laura Jean. I relate to her, I think, in some ways because in my own life, I also think I would also like a character. Like, I would like a person like Peter, but I don't know. I guess, like, I feel like my life has been filled with Peters and I've never had the other character in my life that I think she should have gone with, but you know, we're not gonna. Anyway, so the point is that I loved that series. The third book made me cry multiple times. It was just so relatable. I felt so much of her pain. I just loved it. I thought it was amazing, and I would highly suggest it, especially to teenagers who are getting ready to go to college. It's something that I wish I had read before I went to college. I wish I had read these books in high school. I mean, I don't think they were out yet when I was in high school. I think they were, yeah, I'm old, man. I just feel so strongly about the last book in this series. It was amazing. I'm so glad I read that series. I'm so glad I decided to read it because I really considered not, since I had seen the first two movies before I started reading it. But I'm so glad I did. The books are so much better than the movies. The movies are a lot of fun, but the books are better. Trust me, if you watch the movies and you like them, it is well worth reading the books. They have so much more to them. And I'm really glad that I read them, and I'm really glad that I got to read the third book before the third movie installment comes out. The third book that I read in the month of July is Splintered by A.G. Howard. I talked about this book a little bit in some other videos, I believe, when I was reading it in progress. I also talked about it a bit on my Instagram account. Check that out. I really enjoyed this book. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I feel like in many ways, and I've kind of had the same experience when I've read other books by the same author, being the fact that I read the book Roseblood by A.G. Howard, is that her writing feels a little disorganized sometimes. It's like almost like not as well plotted. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like sometimes things don't quite make sense to me. I feel like it's a little disorganized. But she just writes some really fun stuff. Like, it's really fun. Like, Roseblood was a Phantom of the Opera reimagining / retelling, and this one is obviously an Alice in Wonderland reimagining retelling, and I just had so much fun with it. It's a really dark version of Alice in Wonderland. Some of the scenes, some of the things that she was describing, I found a little hard to picture. Like, I feel like it almost got too fantastical at points. The romance was super overwrought, but it did kind of remind me of just like super teenage angsty type things, which was fun. Like, honestly, we all like some teenage angst once in a while, because I don't think any of us truly ever outgrow it. I think we all feel some angstiness in our lives, no matter how old we are. So I thought it was a really interesting book. I enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to try reading the second book. I already own it, so I might as well. It was just fun, and it's nice to just read something fun once in a while and not be too judgmental or literary or whatever. So I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to pick up the second book at some point in the near future. The fourth and last full book that I read in the month of July is Orange by Ashigo Takano. I hope I'm saying her name right. I'm sorry if I'm not, guys. But I got this book also, as well as Huntress. It was one of the books that I got for Asian Readathon and did not get to read. And I really wanted to just pick up a manga. I wanted to pick up something nice, and I knew I wanted to get this read sometime soon since I was so excited to purchase it in the first place. It's highly suggested on BookTube. At first, it was just kind of fun, like the first few chapters. I was like, all right, this will be fun. I'll just kind of read it here and there. And by the time I was about a third of the way in, I could not put this book down. It is absolutely amazing. I highly suggest it if you're new to manga, if you're a regular manga reader like myself. It is a great one. It's a great one to start with. It's a great one to get back into manga with. It's a great one to just read if you like manga. But yeah, it was so much fun and so suspenseful and kind of like a little bit creepy, had some like sci-fi time travel elements in it. It's basically about this teenage girl. Her name is Neo, and there's a new boy that moves to her city, who starts going to school with her. His name is Kakeru. He joins their class, and her friends invite him to do some stuff with them, and she begins to really like this boy, and then she basically gets a letter from her future self in the mail saying, if you don't do these things, change some of these events that occur in the next couple weeks and months, then in another so many months, this new boy, who is pictured in the middle here, will be dead, which is kind of crazy. So basically, she has to save his life. She has to change events that occurred in her future self's timeline in order to save him. However, as she starts changing events, she realizes that the letter is not changing, and it occurs to her that her future self may be on a sort of parallel timeline, which I think is a really interesting concept too. By the end of the book, you're kind of finding out that she might not be the only one who has received a letter from the future. And so you get little glimpses of her future self who sent these letters, and you get mostly the stories about her present self, though, who is currently in high school, and about her and her friends and what she does and perhaps what some other people do to try to change the fate of this one boy who is their new friend and who she has feelings for. It's really interesting. I cannot wait to read the next volume. This is like a collection. You can see it's really thick. It's a collection of what I think was like at least 3 books or so, like regular sized books, something like that. And so there's another volume, and then I believe there's like a final sort of like in the future volume. I don't really understand if that one's kind of separate, but there's at least one other volume that looks to be about this size that's just called Orange, and it's just the second collection. So yeah, I'm really excited to read on. I can't wait to order the next one. And yeah, I'm so excited about this series. Honestly, I would highly suggest it to anyone. So there was one other book that I began reading in the month of July that I had hoped I might be able to finish, but as it got toward the end of the month, it just became more and more clear that there was no way it was gonna happen. Unfortunately, but I did start reading it, so I'd like to mention it, and that is Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. I've talked about this quite a few times in different videos. I'm only really like maybe a fourth of the way in, so I have a lot more reading to do, but I'm really enjoying it so far. The first chapter or two like didn't really impress me, but once I got past that point into kind of the real action going on, I'm pretty excited now, and I definitely want to find out what happens to the main character. I think she's really interesting. I think the world is really interesting. It definitely has Phantom of the Opera vibes for sure. They said it had Night Circus vibes too, but I'm not really getting many circus vibes. I guess there's a little bit of kind of performer kind of stuff, but that also relates to Phantom of the Opera for me. Definitely her and the male main character really are very much like the Phantom and Christine, except she is much stronger. She's not sort of the weak creature that Christine was in the Phantom of the Opera, and I definitely like that. I like that a lot. I like a strong female character. So I'm really excited to read on with this. I definitely hope to finish it as soon as possible this month. Just a little hint at something else that I started reading. But yeah, so if you watch my last video, I am participating in Nostalgiathon in the month of August. So if you want to check that out, that is sort of like a partial TBR. I will probably post another video talking about the rest of my TBR for the month. And I, of course, will post a video saying how I did for the Nostalgiathon readathon in the near future as well. So I hope you guys will check that out. It's a really cool thon. It's not only a readathon, but it also includes a lot of other things. Highly suggested. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. It's really nostalgic. I love some nostalgia, guys. I'm totally into it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope maybe it gives you some ideas of books to check out. I hope you'll like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment below and let me know if you read the books that I read in July and what you thought of them. If you are reading or have read Where Dreams Descend and what you feel about it without any spoilers, of course. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. It really helps to support me if you hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it so much. And thank you all, for those of you who have been watching my videos for a while now, for your continued support. I'll definitely be back next week with another video. I hope you all have a good week. Bye!